Millionaire returns home at 3 a.m., finds Nanny with his blind daughter. The shocking truth revealed. The clock struck 3 as Ryan Montague slipped through the front door of his sprawling mansion, the shadows draped around him like a cloak of mystery. The aroma of stale coffee and the chilling whispers of the night wrapped around him, creating an eerie feeling in the pit of his stomach. The moonlight pierced through the tall windows, casting ghostly silhouettes that danced across the walls, a haunting welcome back to his own home. But something was wrong. Very wrong. He expected his house to be quiet, maybe a little lonely, but the pulse of activity hit him like a slap in the face. At first, he heard soft murmurs, then a faint giggle. That sound sent his heart racing. He took careful steps toward the living room, each crack of the floorboards echoing in the vast silence like distant thunder. His mind spun with thoughts, questions bubbling up like boiling water. Who was there? Why was a stranger in his home at this hour? As Ryan peered around the corner, he froze. There, illuminated by the soft glow of a lamp, was Sarah, the nanny. But she wasn't alone. His daughter, little Lucy, sat on the carpet, blissfully unaware of the passing time. Her delicate fingers traced the edges of a bright red toy, the one that had been locked away in the attic for years. His heart raced faster as he recalled that same toy being one he had hidden away for good reason. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The soft laughter bounced around the walls, and something twisted inside Ryan's chest. His daughter, who had been blind since birth, was giggling and leaning forward as if she could see Sarah's face. Had he missed something? Was the nanny feeding her lies too? His heart pounded, creating an urgent rhythm that matched the growing dread in his gut. He stepped back, trying to process what he had just seen. The light-hearted moment between his daughter and Sarah felt like a betrayal, but there was an unsettling undercurrent lurking beneath it all. What was Sarah doing, giving Lucy that toy? And why did Lucy seem so content? The questions clawed at him, leaving him with a rising tide of unease. He thought Lucy never played with toys. She had always preferred stories, the feeling of them curling around her mind like warm blankets. Suddenly, Sarah turned her head, as if she sensed his presence. Her expression hardened, and the air thickened with unspoken words. They exchanged locked gazes, the silence straining between them like a taut wire. Beneath that careful facade lay a menacing secret. What had Ryan just walked in on? What was the truth hiding in the shadows of his home? As Ryan felt the world spin around him, he knew he had to confront the mystery lurking in his own home. The night had only just begun. Ryan's heart raced like a wild stallion as he stood frozen, caught between the need to protect his daughter and the inexplicable fear that tethered him to the spot. The air was thick with unasked questions, swirling around like a storm brewing just overhead. He could feel the tension tightening in his chest, the breath he struggled to catch almost painful. The shadow of anxiety loomed larger with every heartbeat. What had he stumbled upon? Ryan. Sarah finally spoke, her voice cool yet edged with something sharp. You're home early. The casual way she said it twisted his stomach in knots. It felt rehearsed, as if she had been waiting for him. But the way Lucy looked up at Sarah, her smile bright and trusting, sent a wave of nausea crashing over him. How could Lucy trust anyone, let alone a stranger who had the power to break the fragile little world he had worked so hard to create? What are you doing with her? Ryan finally managed to choke out, his voice low and trembling with the weight of confrontation. Sarah let out a soft, condescending laugh, clearly unfazed. Just playing, Ryan. Isn't that what nannies are for? She tilted her head, the innocent facade cracking just enough for him to glimpse the warnings hidden behind her eyes. "Those toys, they're not for her," he snapped back, but the words felt hollow as they left his lips. Could he really assert any authority when it felt like the ground was shifting beneath him? Emily, his wife's sister, had insisted on keeping Lucy away from certain toys, citing a need to protect her from possible hazards. It was a rule that had stood firm since Lucy was born, and yet here was Sarah, breaking it as casually as one might peel a banana. Ryan thought back to all the conversations he had had with his wife about Lucy's needs. Sarah had always been on the periphery, a mere caretaker, nothing more. What changed? "Come on, you're making a big deal out of nothing," Sarah said, crossing her arms. A flicker of defiance passed through her eyes, and Ryan could feel the tension rising to new heights. Lucy, blissfully unaware of the escalating conflict, squealed in delight as she examined the toy in her hands, blissfully encased in her little world. Ryan's heart split open at the sight of her, innocence shining bright against the dark backdrop of uncertainty. He took a hesitant step forward, knowing he had to protect her, but fear kept his feet rooted also. It was as if he was caught in an invisible web, spun tight around his heart. "Lucy, honey, can you tell me what you're playing with?" Ryan's voice came out softer than he intended, a desperate effort to bring his little girl back to him, to ensure her safety. "It's so pretty, Daddy!" she exclaimed, her fingers dancing over the toy's bright colors, completely ignoring Sarah's defensive stance. The way she glowed with joy tugged at Ryan's heart like a magnet, but then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a flash of something behind Sarah, something he could barely comprehend but instinctively knew was wrong. It was hidden beneath the couch. Ryan's pulse quickened, every instinct urging him to investigate, a gnawing realization creeping in: there was more to this than just a toy, than just a late-night playtime. "Look, I'm done with this," Ryan said, trying to regain control of the situation. "Get Lucy's shoes. We're leaving." Sarah's smile vanished, replaced by a tight-lipped scowl. "You're not taking her anywhere." A suffocating silence fell between them. Breathing in the tension felt like inhaling shards of glass. What were they really facing? This was no longer just about a toy. Somewhere in the depths of shadow, a sinister truth was beginning to unfurl, yet as he began to move toward the couch, a chill washed over him. The barest hint of danger seemed to wrap around him like tight chains. Ryan had to uncover what lay beneath. He had to push back this threat for Lucy's sake. But would he be prepared for what he might uncover? As he knelt down, the hair on the back of his neck prickled. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about his daughter's safety, her future. And in that moment, Ryan realized he was on the brink of discovering something that would change everything. What could possibly be hidden in the shadows of his own home? Ryan's fingers brushed against the rough fabric of the couch as he peered into the dim shadows, heart racing. He felt the weight of Sarah's stare boring into him, a predator watching its prey. He couldn't let her see how rattled he was. Just beyond the couch, something gleamed, a dull reflection that echoed warning bells in his mind. "Stop," Sarah commanded, her voice dripping with authority. "You're making a fool of yourself." Fool. The word echoed cruelly, twisting in his gut. But he pushed it aside. He couldn't let her intimidate him, certainly not in front of Lucy. He took a deep breath, steeling himself, reminding himself that Lucy deserved to be protected, not just from the uncertainty of the world, but from whoever this woman was who had encroached upon their lives. Ignoring Sarah, he crouched down, reaching into the shadows. As his fingers curled around the cool metal object, a sickening dread washed over him. He pulled it into the light, revealing a small, intricately carved key, a key that looked ominously familiar, one that belonged to the safety deposit box he shared with Emily. "Where did you get this?" Ryan demanded, rising to face her, the key clutched tightly in his fist. For the briefest moment, shock flickered across Sarah's face, then pure rage replaced it. "You shouldn't be poking around where you don't belong." His mind raced. What did Sarah have planned? What was hidden in that box that she could possibly want? Ryan's heart pounded in his ears, and a sense of betrayal curled like smoke in his chest, obscuring his breath. You've been lying to me this whole time, he spat, his voice trembling, strained with the weight of the accusation. Lucy turned her head, her small brow furrowing in confusion. Daddy, what's wrong? Her innocent voice pierced through the dark tension, pulling at Ryan's heartstrings. Nothing, sweetheart, he rushed to reassure, though every instinct told him otherwise. Just a little misunderstanding. But the words felt insufficient, barely masking the truth that was rapidly unraveling before them. Sarah stepped forward, her demeanor shifting like a storm cloud, ready to unleash its fury. You really think you can take her away from me just like that? You think you can just stroll in here, and why are you even here? Ryan interrupted, cutting through the haze of confusion like a knife. What is this all about? The truth can hurt, she hissed, eyes flaring with defiance. But sometimes, the truth is all people need to know. He felt the air grow thick with her threat, a looming darkness that ignited every instinct in his body to get Lucy out of there. There was something far more insidious at play here, hidden behind Sarah's confident facade. The more he breathed in her lies, the more acrid they tasted on his tongue. I'm not afraid of you, Ryan said, the words pouring out with a newfound strength. If you think I'll back down. Suddenly, there was a scratching sound from behind the couch, a low growl that sent shivers racing down Ryan's spine. He shifted his gaze, heart hammering. Behind Sarah, a dark, large shape emerged, a dog. But not just any dog, it was a Rottweiler, its eyes glinting with hunger and menace. Put it down. Get away from her. He shouted, throwing himself in front of Lucy, instinctively shielding her from the threat. With a quick movement, Ryan grabbed his phone, ready to call for help. Just then, he felt a forceful presence behind him, and the world tilted as Sarah lunged forward. Ryan, no. Lucy cried out, panic flooding her voice. The room seemed to explode in chaos, the dog barking ferociously, Lucy's trembling hands clutching at Ryan's shirt. And then everything went black. As Ryan's vision faded, mirroring the darkness that had flooded their lives, he realized with a sinking dread that nothing would ever be the same again. Once consciousness returned, would he find himself still in the fight for Lucy? What had he truly walked into? Ryan's awakening was abrupt, the heavy silence pressing down on him like a weight. For a moment, he lay still, disoriented, trying to piece together fragments of blurred memories. The last thing he remembered was the Rottweiler, teeth bared, and Sarah lunging with a fierce determination. He blinked against the harsh overhead light. A chill coursed through his veins as he realized he was no longer in the living room. Instead, he found himself sprawled on a cold, tiled floor, the pungent scent of antiseptic invading his nostrils. Panic surged in his chest. Where was Lucy? Where was Sarah? Lucy! He called, voice hoarse and cracked, echoing back to him in the empty space. He pushed himself up, ignoring the sharp pain that shot through his ribcage. The echo of his voice was swallowed by the sterile walls. As he stood, a figure emerged from behind a curtain at the far end of the room. It was a nurse, her expression unreadable but her eyes wary. You need to lie down, she asserted, moving forward as if to guide him back to the floor. Where's my daughter? Ryan shook off her touch, urgency clawing at him. Please, calm down. You've been unconscious for where's Lucy? He shouted, frustration boiling over. The nurse hesitated, glancing behind her as if she were weighing his words against a silent command. She's in a safe place. Your friend is with her. Friend? The word felt foreign and wrong on his tongue. Sarah wasn't his friend. She was a threat, a shadow in his life that had suddenly grown dark and looming. Get me to her. Now. Reluctantly, the nurse backed away, allowing him to move past her. He stumbled through the doors, each step fueled by the desperate hope of finding Lucy unharmed. The sterile hallway felt endless, fluorescent lights buzzing above like angry bees. Suddenly, he heard a soft voice blending into the sterile hum. Daddy? His heart surged with recognition, a lifeline tossed in stormy seas. Lucy. I'm coming. Rushing toward the sound, he turned the corner and entered a small room. There she was, his light, sitting wide-eyed in a chair, her blindfold slightly askew. A woman loomed beside her, and Ryan's stomach turned as he recognized her. Sarah. Her presence felt like a shadow stretching over Lucy's radiant smile, the contrast striking and painful. "Ryan!" Lucy exclaimed, scrambling off the chair. Her arms reached out, and he pulled her close, relief washing over him. "I was scared." "I know, sweetheart. I'm here." "I'm so sorry," he whispered, holding her tight, his heart shattering with guilt for not protecting her from this chaos. Sarah stood back, arms crossed, an unreadable expression twisting her features. "Isn't this heartwarming? The boy finally wakes up," she said, her voice smooth but filled with venom. Ryan stepped back, keeping Lucy at his side like a shield. "What do you want from us, Sarah? Why are you doing this?" A ghost of a smile danced across her lips as she leaned closer. "You want to like what you find out. It's more complicated than you know, Ryan. You're not the only one with secrets." Panic and confusion bubbled inside him. "What secrets?" Lucy's small hand trembled against his, but he couldn't focus on her fear. All he could see was Sarah's face, twisted with a kind of satisfaction that made his blood run cold. "Let's just say that when this is all over, you'll see me in a very different light." He felt a chill crawl up his spine. The threat underlying her words hung heavy between them. "Don't you dare come near my daughter," he growled, adrenaline fueling his confrontation. "Too late, Ryan," she said smoothly. "I'm already closer than you think. And trust me, once the truth is revealed, you'll wish I never was." Every instinct screamed at him to protect Lucy, to shield her from Sarah's malevolence, yet he felt anchors of uncertainty tying him down, and just then, as if fate had dropped a bombshell, the nurse returned, her expression suddenly serious. "We need to get moving. There's an urgent situation developing." "Urgent?" The word hit him like a slap. "What now?" As panic rose in his throat, he glanced between the nurse and Sarah, dread pooling in his stomach. What new threat had emerged? And as darkness loomed again, he could only wonder, what truth was waiting just around the corner, waiting to be unleashed. Ryan's heart raced as the nurse's sharp words hung in the air. He felt as if he were standing on the edge of a cliff, the abyss yawning before him. What is happening? Why do we have to move? The situation is unstable. The nurse's eyes darted nervously to Sarah, who smirked, her posture relaxed yet menacing. "Stable? You mean like this whole nightmare?" He was losing it, his frustration boiling over. "I need answers. My daughter has already been through hell." "I know you're scared," the nurse said gently, trying to coax some calm into the explosive chaos. "But it's crucial that we leave this room." Behind the nurse, Sarah's smile faded. "You really think you can protect her? You're already in too deep." Each word dripped with disdain, and Ryan felt heat rise in his cheeks. "Enough. I'm not playing your games anymore. Lucy and I are leaving together." His voice was firm, determined, and he threw Sarah a defiant look. "Not so fast." Sarah stepped forward, blocking the doorway. "You should really think this through. There's a lot more at stake than you know. Why are you doing this, Sarah?" He grit his teeth. "What's your endgame?" Before she could answer, the nurse interjected urgently. "We really need to go. Now." She reached toward Lucy, guiding her away from the chaos. "Please, sweetheart, stay close," Ryan instructed, whispering into Lucy's ear, hoping she wouldn't feel the disconnect of fear that flooded their surroundings. Just as they began to step outside the room, a commotion erupted from the hallway, shouts piercing the sterile air. Ryan's instincts went into overdrive. What now? A group of men in dark clothing barreled down the corridor, faces obscured, their postures aggressive. They moved in unison, a pack hunting prey, and dread coiled in Ryan's stomach. "Ryan, we can't let them see you," the nurse hissed, pulling him and Lucy back into the room, shoving them behind the curtain. Just as the men arrived at the door, they paused, heavy breaths echoing ominously in the small space. Ryan held Lucy tightly, his heart pounding so loud he was sure they could hear it. He peered cautiously around the curtain. "Find him," one of the men barked, voice sharp with command. "He can't be far. We need to finish this." "Finish what?" Sarah's voice was a snake's hiss, oozing venom. "You think this is going to end well for you?" In that instant, Ryan's mindset shifted. Whoever these men were, they were drawing closer to a deadly confrontation. And Lucy was in the crosshairs. "We need to leave, right now," he whispered to the nurse, his grip tightening around Lucy. "We can't go that way," the nurse replied, panic rising in her voice. "They'll see us." "But what about these men?" Ryan hissed back. The tension in the air was palpable, thick and suffocating. Suddenly, one of the men stepped forward, voice raised. "We know you're in there." He moved toward the curtain, and Ryan felt frozen, dread turning his limbs to lead. "Daddy, I'm scared," Lucy whimpered, burying her face against him, her tiny body trembling. "I know, baby. I know," he murmured, his heart aching for her innocence crippled by danger. Ryan's mind raced, searching for any option to escape this encroaching nightmare. The nurse glanced helplessly toward the door, her expression filled with uncertainty, and then, like a lightning bolt, it struck him. "Sarah!" he exclaimed, desperation leaping in his chest. "This is all because of you. You know these men, don't you?" Her eyes flickered momentarily, a small crack in her otherwise poised demeanor. "You're barking up the wrong tree, Ryan. This is bigger than you can comprehend." The curtain threatened to move, shadows casting over them. Ryan's breath caught in his throat. "Then help us," he pleaded, knowing the danger was relentless. Sarah hesitated, weighed down by a choice that could shift the balance of their chaotic reality. "Let us walk out of here, and I'll tell you everything," she finally said, her tone shifting from venomous to almost conciliatory, but he sensed the insincerity prickling at his skin. He narrowed his eyes, uncertainty twisting in his gut. "Why would you help us?" "It might be my only chance to survive this, too," she confessed, an unusual sincerity flickering in her gaze. Just as Ryan was about to decline her offer, the door was flung open behind them. "Found them!" the man shouted, panic ignited. "Now or never." Sarah's voice cut through the night like a siren. Ryan inhaled sharply, realizing the weight of his decision. Trusting her could be his downfall, yet staying could mean losing everything. And then, with a swift motion, he locked eyes with Lucy, filled with determination. Would he take a leap of faith into treachery, or leave it all behind, racing into the unknown? This was a moment that would change everything. The moment hung heavy with uncertainty as Ryan wrestled with the decision, heartbeat thrumming like a war drum. The door swung wide, revealing the looming figures of the men. Shadows danced in the grim fluorescent light, their sharp silhouettes ready to plunge into chaos. "Just do it," Sarah urged, her voice both desperate and commanding. "I know a way out." Ryan felt the weight of her words, or was it the strain of trusting a woman who had caused so much pain? Lucy trembled against him, oblivious to the adult struggle raging around her. He could almost feel the icy breath of impending doom curling at the nape of his neck. "Ryan," the nurse whispered, glancing from him to the intruders. "We don't have many options." "If we stay here, fine," he blurted, urgency surging through him. "But if this doesn't lead to safety, no more talk. Just move." Sarah snapped, grabbing the curtain and gesturing them toward the far corner of the room. Heart pounding, Ryan grabbed Lucy's hand and rushed behind Sarah. With the faintest push from the nurse, they slipped into the narrow, dark space behind the curtain that separated them from the open door. Every flicker of sound made Ryan flinch, every heavy footstep outside intensified his fear. Were they right behind them? Would he ever get out of here with Lucy? Their SA service exit at the end of the hall, Sarah said, a harsh whisper cutting through the tension. Follow me and keep your head down. The corridor stretched ahead, dimly lit and eerily silent apart from the shouts and the chaos outside. Ryan could hear the men's footsteps growing more erratic. They knew they were close. Now. Sarah barked, darting into the hallway. Ryan followed closely, cradling Lucy and shielding her with his body. The nurse brought up the rear, her eyes wide, heart racing in full survival mode. They shuffled down the corridor, but the frantic thrum of their footsteps echoed ominously in the confined space. Just as they reached a junction, an alarm rang out, slicing the air with a piercing wail that shook Ryan to his core. Go! Go! The nurse pushed them forward, fear twisting her features. Who activated that? Ryan panicked, his mind racing. Did they have time? Don't look back. Sarah hissed, urgency imbued in her tone. Trust me. We have to reach the exit. Chaos erupted behind them as the men converged, their cursing filling the corridor like venom. Get them. Don't let them escape. The words drove a spike of terror through Ryan's chest. Each shout escalated his sense of urgency. They weren't just trying to intimidate, they were closing in, turning this escape into a frantic race against fate. Suddenly, a solid figure blocked their path. One of the men emerged from the shadows, eyes glinting fiercely under the harsh overhead lights. There's nowhere to run, he sneered, a chilling grin spreading across his face. Ryan froze. The man was massive, a wall of muscle and malice. His instincts screamed danger, raw and unrelenting. Turn around, and maybe I won't have to get violent with you, the man growled, stepping forward, chest puffed with authority. Back! Back! Sarah shouted, pushing Ryan and Lucy behind her. It was too late to turn, they de-painted themselves into a corner. Time crawled as Ryan's brain scrambled for a solution. Just then, Lucy whispered so softly, Daddy. Her voice sliced through the tension, pulling his focus away from the danger. He knelt down quickly, looking into her scared eyes. I'm here, sweetheart. Just stay close. And deep inside, a small flicker of resolve ignited. He couldn't fold. Not with his daughter watching, not with terror stalking them. I don't know where you think you're going, but this ends now, the man said, taking another threatening step forward. Ryan felt his heart thundering, adrenaline pushed through his veins. No. We won't go down without a fight, he growled, determination seeping into his words, but before he could formulate a plan, a sharp shout echoed from further down the corridor. There they are. Don't let them get away. More figures rushed toward them, closing in like wolves descending on prey. Now, Ryan. Sarah yelled, her eyes darting frantically. Through the door. We have to move, or we'll be trapped. Ryan gripped Lucy's small hand tighter, knowing the time for hesitance had long passed. Run! He shouted, adrenaline surging as they tore for the only exit standing between them and uncertainty. As they reached the door, Ryan glanced back, and for one fleeting second, their eyes caught Sarah, uncertain yet resolute. He stepped through and braced himself for whatever lay on the other side. Would this leap lead them to safety or drag them deeper into danger? The moment they crossed the threshold, shadows danced menacingly behind them, and Ryan could only hope they wouldn't be caught before the truth could finally surface. The room beyond the door opened up into a dimly lit stairwell, steep and winding. The air felt thick and heavy, mixed with the smell of old plaster and dust. Ryan surged forward, pulling Lucy along as Sarah pushed past him, urgency etched on her face. They scrambled down the stairs, their footsteps echoing, blending into the distant shouts above. Keep going. Just a few more flights. Sarah urged, desperation brewing as time slipped away. They descended 2 flights, the shouts behind them morphing into chaotic shuffles. Ryan's heart raced. This wasn't just a game of tag anymore. They were fighting for their lives. Suddenly, Lucy stumbled, the grip of fear binding her tiny frame. "Daddy, I can't stay with me, Lucy. Just hold on," he barked, instinctively looking back. The darkness enveloped them, shadows stretching far down the stairwell, each one threatening to swallow them whole. As they raced down, Ryan caught a glimpse of movement above, figures spilling through the door they had just exited. The massive man, the one who had blocked their path, was now charging down the first flight, his presence looming like a nightmare made flesh. "Keep moving!" Sarah screamed, her voice nearly drowned amidst the clattering noise of footsteps. They reached the bottom of the stairwell, panting and frantic. A heavy door loomed before them, marked with peeling paint and rusted hinges. Sarah slammed it open, revealing a narrow corridor lined with grated windows, flickering like old film. "Here." She pointed towards the end of the corridor where light seeped through cracks, a beacon of possibly false hope. Ryan pushed forward, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Lucy shuffled just behind him, clinging to his waist. His mind raced. What if they were trapped again? What if there was no escape? As they reached the light, Sarah paused, glancing back. "No time. They're right behind." With no choice, Ryan threw open the door at the end of the corridor, bursting into a cramped parking garage filled with vehicles that looked as aged as time itself. Sparse electric lights flickered ominously overhead, creating pockets of shadow and brightness. "Where now?" Ryan said, panic creeping into his voice. Sarah hastily scanned the area. "We need a car, any car. Quick." He rushed to a nearby SUV, fingers trembling as he fumbled for the handle. Locked. He tried another one, heart pounding. But the lock taunted him, each click echoing in their dire situation. "Over here." Sarah's voice drew him. She had spotted a minivan at the far end, windshield cracked but the doors stood open. They barreled towards it, adrenaline propelling them forward. But just as Ryan reached for the door handle, a shout echoed from the entrance of the garage. "There they are. Get them." Ryan's head snapped around. The massive figure of the man from before loomed at the doorway, flanked by his partners, faces hardened with malice. They were moments away from being captured. "Get in!" Sarah screamed, already climbing into the driver's seat. Ryan rushed Lucy inside, sliding in after her. The fear in her eyes cut through him like a knife. He glanced back out, seeing the men advancing with menacing intent. "Start it! Start it!" Ryan yelled, desperation clawing at his throat. The engine sputtered and coughed, as if it, too, were afraid of the impending confrontation. Just as it roared to life, the echo of footsteps grew louder, time slipping away. "Now! Drive!" The weight of their urgency pressed down on Ryan as Sarah spun the steering wheel, veering toward the exit. The minivan surged forward, tires screeching as they rocketed towards the open mouth of escape when suddenly, a sharp crack shattered the air. Glass exploded from the passenger window, showering the interior with dangerous shards. Ryan gasped as Sarah let out a strangled cry, hands jerking on the steering wheel as she struggled to maintain control. "Go, go, go!" Ryan shouted, adrenaline drowning out the fear clawing at his insides. As they burst through the exit and into the night, their surroundings melted into chaos, a world where danger loomed in every shadow. Would they make it far enough to lose their pursuers, or was the nightmare far from over? The thrill of escape coursed through Ryan, but the weight of anxiety pressed at him with each heartbeat. "Where do we go now?" Sarah shouted, glancing back, desperation etched on her features. Then Lucy spoke up softly, "Daddy, I think we can trust her." Was it really just a flicker of trust they could cling to, or were they hurtling deeper into a perilous unknown? The road ahead seemed fraught with danger, and the chase had only just begun. The headlights cut through the darkness as Sarah swerved the minivan, tires screeching against the asphalt. Ryan clenched the seat, bracing himself for whatever might come next. Fear surged, but there was also a flicker of hope, a desperate yearning to break free from this hellish chase. "Look out!" Sarah yelled suddenly, swerving to avoid a car that seemed to appear out of nowhere. The minivan veered hard, and Lucy shrieked, her small frame bouncing against the seatbelt. "Stay calm, baby. We're okay." Ryan reassured her, yet his heart raced as he saw the shadow of their pursuers receding and then reappearing on the road behind them. "Where are we going?" Sarah shouted, panic creeping into her voice. "We can't just drive randomly. Anywhere but here. Just find a place to hide." Ryan replied, his throat dry. He couldn't bear the thought of running out of options, of being cornered again. They sped through the streets, the city's glow casting flickering lights on their faces. For a moment, it felt like they might escape. But then Ryan caught another glimpse in the rearview mirror. The massive man was closer now, his eyes gleaming with determination, flanked by two others. "Simon, Simon." Sarah urged the van, but it sputtered as they approached a red light. "No, no, no. Not now." She threw the gear into park and exclaimed, "We're stuck. Just go. We can't stop." Ryan shouted, looking back. The light turned green. Sarah slammed her foot on the accelerator, shooting through the intersection while Ryan's heart pounded audibly in his ears. They jolted forward, but the weight of the world felt as if it pressed down more heavily with every second. "Where do we hide?" Lucy whimpered, her voice small and frightened. "Just keep looking for somewhere," Ryan said desperately, scanning the streets that blurred by like a whirlwind of color and fear. Out of nowhere, Ryan spotted a dark alleyway. "There. In there," he urged Sarah, pointing frantically. She took a sharp turn, tires screeching as they skidded into the narrow space. The van barely fit, but they were safe for now. Ryan turned off the engine, the sudden silence wrapping around them like a cloak. They huddled in the dim light, desperately trying to catch their breath. The only sound was the rhythmic thump of his heart in his chest, a reminder of how close they had come to losing everything. "What now?" Sarah whispered. Ryan glanced at Lucy, who sat beside him, wide-eyed and shaking. "We'll have to wait them out." His voice was steadier than he felt. "They can't know where we've gone, right?" But the creeping dread wouldn't let go. In his gut, he feared they weren't safe yet. The sounds of footsteps and distant voices echoed outside, hinting at their pursuers growing closer. Lucy sniffled, and Ryan instinctively wrapped his arms around her. "We'll be okay, kiddo. I promise." But in that moment, a pang of uncertainty gripped him. What if trusting Sarah was a mistake? What if the danger outside was nothing compared to what lay ahead of them? Suddenly, the exterior sounds stopped. The weight of silence loomed. Was it a blessing, or were they being cornered? As Ryan peered through the windshield, his heart raced. Shadows moved, lingering closer, scanning their surroundings, and then came the chilling sound, a slow, deliberate knock on the side of the van. Panic ignited as Ryan's mind raced. Who was there? Was it friend or foe? "Don't move," Sarah hissed, fear twisting her words like a taut wire. Ryan's brow furrowed, sweat trickling down his spine. "What if it's them?" Lucy's small voice broke through the tension, barely above a whisper, "Daddy, what if it's a stranger?" The quiet turned into a storm of thoughts. The tension mounted as Ryan felt the weight of every glance, every pending decision. Whoever it was out there wouldn't just walk away. As the knocking grew louder, Ryan's heart surged with a new kind of fear, desperation, confusion, and the gnawing question that haunted him. What did they want? The knock came again, sharper this time. Each echo seemed to puncture the thick veil of silence inside the van. Ryan leaned closer, straining to hear anything beyond the metal barrier. His fingers tightened around Lucy, who nestled closer, eyes wide with terror. "Who is it?" Sarah whispered, her voice barely above a breath. Shadows danced outside, masking the figures that lingered just out of sight. The air felt heavy, as if it pressed against their chests, squeezing out any hope of escape. Suddenly, a low voice broke through the darkness. "Come on out. We know you're in there." The words hung in the air, a chilling promise of confrontation. Ryan exchanged a frantic glance with Sarah. Fear mingled with anger inside him. What do they want? Please let it be someone else, Sarah murmured, her face pale under the dim light. But Ryan knew it was the massive man who had haunted them. The one they had seen earlier. And now, he was here, making it personal. Don't make this harder than it needs to be, the voice continued. With every word, an unseen weight pressed more heavily on Ryan's heart. The thought of what might happen next made him shiver. There's no choice, Ryan said, low and determined. He knew they couldn't stay hidden forever, couldn't let their pursuers think they were cowering in fear. Ryan, wait. Sarah's eyes were frantic. Maybe we can sneak out the back. Just listen then, as if the universe took the moment to conspire against them, footsteps approached the rear of the van. Heavy, deliberate. Each step sent a ripple of anxiety through Ryan's body. Lucy, sweetheart, I need you to hold my hand really tight, he whispered, his breath trembling. She obliged, gripping his finger like it was a lifeline. The knocking returned, louder than before. Last chance. We're coming in. Ryan's heart raced. His mind screamed at him to think, to strategize. They were trapped, and every moment spent in that silence was a lottery ticket of fraught anticipation. No. Sarah yelled suddenly, her voice snapping like a taut rope. We'll find a way out. We will. Please don't, Ryan began, but the shadowy figure on the right side of the van pushed open the sliding door with a deafening screech. Chaos erupted as the figure's face was barely illuminated by the streetlight, but Ryan recognized the cold, calculating glance. It was the same man, the massive one. Anger burned in his eyes. What do you want? Ryan shouted defiantly, adrenaline fueling his courage. He'd rather face him than sit idle and let the fear eat him alive. Still playing hero? How cute, the man sneered, stepping into view. But before Ryan could respond, the figure motioned behind him. Boss wants to see you, all of you. Ryan felt bile rise in his throat. Lucy squeezed his hand tighter, trembling. Let us go. We haven't done anything to you. Sarah begged, tears glossing her eyes. The man stepped closer, looming over them like a dark storm cloud. You have no idea what you've gotten into, do you? This is bigger than you think. And now, you're part of it. Get away from her. Ryan yelled, suddenly driven by a surge of protective fury. Lucy was innocent in this, just a scared little girl hoping to go home, but the man only laughed, a cruel sound echoing off the alley walls. You're not in control, pal. It's time to make a choice, either cooperate or face the consequences. The weight of his ultimatum hung ominously in the air. Ryan's heart raced as he glanced at Sarah, knowing their lives were poised on the brink, ready to tip into chaos. Ryan. Sarah breathed, her face pale. They're here to take us. Where? Ryan pressed, his mind racing for options. Doesn't matter, the man replied, grinning. Just remember, you asked for this. As the shadows began to close in, and the gravity of their situation sank deeper, Ryan felt the ground shift beneath him. Here it was his moment to act. Let us go. Just give us a chance. He cried out, desperation coursing through his veins. But as a second figure emerged from the darkness behind their captor, Ryan sensed that whatever hope lingered was about to be shattered. What is it going to be, Ryan? The man sneered, his grin widening menacingly with every word. You choose, or we choose for you. And as they stood on the precipice of a decision that could alter their fates, Ryan knew that time was running out. Ryan's heart hammered in his chest as the massive man loomed closer, shadows clawing at the edges of his vision. The stakes felt impossibly high, and all Ryan could focus on was Lucy, clutching his hand, her small frame trembling against the storm of uncertainty lashing around them. He couldn't let fear shatter their fragile bond. Ryan, what do we do? Sarah's voice was taut, her eyes darting between the man and the shadows creeping behind him. Desperation laced her tone, and for the first time, he could see genuine fear on her face. That he took a deep breath, forcing his mind to clear. We need to find a way out. We need to stand our ground. The weight of the situation sharpened his resolve. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about Lucy, about keeping her safe at all costs. The man smirked, as if savoring their fear. All right, he purred, choose wisely. Do you want to come with us willingly, or do we need to make this a little more complicated? Before Ryan could respond, he felt a surge of adrenaline take over. We'll never go with you. He shouted, his voice ringing against the alley walls, resonating with the defiance he desperately hoped to embody. You can't scare us into submission. The man's grin faltered, irritation dancing across his features. For a fleeting moment, surprise flickered in his eyes. Brave words for someone cornered. But Ryan saw the shift in the man's demeanor. Perhaps they had managed to rattle him just enough. Okay, Sarah, Ryan whispered, a plan igniting in his mind. When I say go, I need you to grab Lucy and run towards the end of the alley. I'll keep him distracted. Sarah's eyes widened. Are you crazy? Just trust me. The desperation in his voice pushed her to nod, albeit reluctantly. Now. He barked. Lucy instinctively squeezed his hand, but already, Sarah was moving, pulling Lucy away gently. Ryan watched as they slipped behind a different row of parked cars, hearts pounding in synchrony. The man took a step forward, misunderstanding their sudden movement. Hey! Where do you think you're going? Ryan surged forward. Right here. He charged at the man, daring him to react. The distance felt impossibly short, his heart racing as he collided with the man, pushing him away from Lucy and Sarah, but the man was built like a tank. He stumbled back but quickly regained his footing, his expression a mix of surprise and fury. You're going to regret that. He growled, launching forward to catch Ryan by the collar. Ryan braced himself. Suddenly, a loud thud echoed through the alley, followed by a pained grunt. Ryan's heart raced as he turned toward the source of the noise. A figure ran past him. Another man from their pursuers had gotten distracted, caught off guard, and was now curling against the pavement. Now! Sarah's voice rang out. As Ryan grappled with the massive man, who was trying to wrest control back, he glanced back to see Lucy and Sarah racing toward the now open rear cargo of the van they had seconds ago fled from. Hope surged through him. He thrust his shoulder into the man, breaking free for just a moment. Go, Lucy. Get in the van. Desperation surged as he twisted away, redoubling his efforts. The other men would be back any second. He felt panic clenching his gut. Lucy's small voice piped in his ear, Daddy, come. The urgency begged him forward, the hope in her tone like a dagger slicing through the haze. With another fierce drive, Ryan pushed the man backward and darted toward the van. Get in, Sarah. He heard the van door slam as they scrambled inside. Ryan lunged, climbing in just as another threat surged out of the alley, charging for them like a wolf closing in for the kill. With a deep breath, Ryan shouted at Sarah. Go. Get us out of here. The engine roared to life as Sarah slammed her foot down on the accelerator. The tires squealed in protest while Ryan turned back, his heart racing as he saw the massive man lurch forward, arms outstretched. The rear-view mirror revealed the motorcycle cop who had passed earlier, now swerving to intercept. Laughter of disbelief bubbled in Ryan's chest. The furious driver zoomed in and shoved the pursuer back in the alley. Are we free? Lucy whispered, her eyes wide with awe and uncertainty. For now. Ryan said through heavy breaths, glancing at Sarah, whose face reflected sheer relief. But we still need to find a way to deal with whatever this is. This isn't over. And when the sudden realization struck Ryan, whatever shadow had fallen over their lives would not just dissipate. With Lucy nestled against him, he vowed not only to protect her but to obliterate the fear that sought to divide them. As they exited the city lights, Ryan felt a flicker of hope twine with trepidation. They could find allies, they could hunt for the truth, battle against the gale of betrayal twisting above them. But safety would not come without cost. We need to figure out Sarah's secret. Why did she really do this? Daddy, Lucy spoke softly. Do you think we can trust her? Ryan looked at Sarah, who seemed lost in thought, navigating the road ahead like a ship braving stormy seas. Right now, it's not about trusting her. It's about making sure we stay safe. And with that vow held tight in the center of his heart, Ryan knew that their fight was just beginning. They had the power to uncover the truth and shape their fate. Embracing Lucy's fragile form beside him, Ryan faced the horizon, aware that whatever storm threatened to come, they would weather it together. As the horizon filled with distant colors, he breathed in the future, uncertain, yes, but not unwinnable. They would fight. They would survive. And when the dust settled, they would know who to trust, and who would stand with them against the storm ahead. Don't just sit there, take action. You need to subscribe now to catch all the exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button immediately to fuel our algorithm. Flood the comments with your theories about this ending, your thoughts are crucial. And don't wait even one more second, share this wild conclusion with at least 5 friends who need to dive into the excitement. Let us connect, and keep this amazing journey going together.